Dr. Jeremy Weisz here. I'm founder of InspiredInsider.com, where I talk with inspirational entrepreneurs and leaders like the founders of P90X, Baby Einstein, Atari, and many more, how they overcome big challenges in life and business. This is part of the Skubana e-commerce mastery series, where top sellers and experts teach you what really works to boost your e-commerce business. Skubana is a software platform to manage your entire e-commerce operation. Now, all the way from Thailand, we have Manuel Becvar. He's the founder of ImportDojo. He's been living and working in China for over 10 years. He travels between China and Thailand. With 17 years in the sourcing business, he has a unique perspective because he has his own brand. He sells to retailers and is a supplier. And he's worked with some of the biggest retailers in the world, developing, sourcing, and finding new products. And these include Walmart. You've heard of these: Walmart, Amazon, Lowe's, Sears, Home Depot, and many more. And he is the author of the Import Bible, the complete beginner's guide to successful importing from China. Manuel, how's it going?
All good, thanks. Thanks for having me on the show.
Yeah.
Excited to be here.
I have to start. There's so many questions about mistakes to avoid with importing, secrets, common questions, but I have to start about, tell me about when you met Arnold Schwarzenegger.
It was funny. It was in 2005. I met him at a luncheon. He was governor of California back then, and he was doing a tour across Asia to promote Californian products. So he was doing a speech. Jackie Chan was also there, actually. He was helping him on promoting things. And at the end of the luncheon, he passed by our table, and I just said in German, "Hey, Arnold, big fan here and admiring all of your work and your success, you know." And he looked at me and he said, "Well, you must be pretty successful yourself because you're sitting here at this luncheon with your age." And so he was really surprised, kind of, to see me. And he said, "Keep going and see you at the top, you know." And I was baffled that he actually said something. And I was just 23 back then, and that motivated me to go for the stars, you know.
Yeah, when I was doing some research, it said what he said influenced you to start your own business. So what did you take from his words that motivated you?
I don't know. I was always a big fan because, he's Austrian, I'm Austrian, so
Right.
We're kind of proud of him.
You have the same size biceps. Yeah.
Not even close. No, but it just motivated me, to become successful as he is. And obviously I'm not, but it kind of pushed me. And it was such an experience that he actually said something. And I know it's silly, but it kind of motivated me and kept me going and made me want to be successful.
Yeah. So, with those, I mentioned some of those companies: Walmart, Amazon, Lowe's, Sears, Home Depot. Early on, when you started in the import business, what were the biggest mistakes that you made?
Biggest personal mistakes that I made was not really working organized and not having checklists, having control mechanisms in place that make you help to that help you to control your suppliers and keep track of everything. So, for example, also doing proper background checks on the supplier. Just trusting blindly. And I was very young back then, so I definitely have a lot of. But the most common mistakes, I think, are just not doing your proper research and not working organized with the supplier, not following up properly, not calling them once in a while, to check on the status of an order maybe, or a sample, for example.
Yeah. So, Manuel, what's the most important items on your checklist today that you have?
You mean in my business, or?
Yeah. Like when now you obviously have like an actual system in place.
Oh yeah.
What are some of the important things that you missed back then that you get now?
Well, when I kind of work with a whiteboard these days, and I work with Excel files and Word file to-do lists. Just drop down everything that I need to do during the day, or I set myself reminders constantly. I follow up, and I'm very strict I'm disciplined, and I'm very strict with my to-do list, you know. So I kind of need to finish them day by thing by thing on each day before I even let go for the day.
So what about today? What's on the checklist for today, or on the agenda?
When I look at the list, it's a couple of things. Promotional emails. I need to prepare a new blog entry for tomorrow. I have a couple of emails that I need to reply. It's early here, so I just got up.
Right.
But a long day ahead. Also working on the Canton fair that is coming up. So I'm scheduling a couple of meetings with suppliers,
Mm-hmm.
and I also have a couple of customers coming over. So working on Canton fair.
Yeah, tell people, for people who don't know what the Canton Fair, what is it, and then what do you hope to accomplish?
The Canton Fair is the holy grail of all exhibitions in Asia. It's basically twice a year held event where all the suppliers of different product categories come to Guangzhou in South China and exhibit. The phase is about 3.5 weeks long, and the exhibition is about 3.5 weeks long, and it's separated into 3 phases. Each phase has different products.
Mm-hmm.
And suppliers can exhibit there, and obviously buyers can come and visit and see the samples at the booth and talk to the suppliers directly, do a research, and find new suppliers and products. That's basically
So
it.
how many years have you been going to this?
Since I arrived, that was 2005, so
Oh,
about 10 years.
yeah.
It's twice a year. I don't go every time, twice. Sometimes I just go to the one in April. Sometimes I go to in October.
So tell me, throughout the years, what are some of the big trends you've seen and the biggest surprises with either products or materials or what's going on?
At the show itself,
Yeah,
you mean?
yeah.
Um, it's not really that you see trends, big trends or surprises there. The real trends and surprises are at the CES in Las Vegas, or at the CeBIT in Germany. There's a couple of electronic shows, for example, in Hong Kong also, where you really see trends. The Canton Fair is really just like a big bazaar where you can go and find a supplier that you need for a specific product. Actually, that is a surprise to most buyers. When they first come, they expect a lot of new items and a lot of trends, but that is definitely not happening there. What you can find is common bread and butter products, and that's about it. And good suppliers. I'm not saying they're not good suppliers, but you won't find.
They're reputable.
Yeah, they're reputable and trustworthy. Most of them. It's just nothing new there, just
So how many
sourcing.
people, what percentage of the people, obviously I know that you're kind of a thought leader in this space with the Import Bible, and you have students. What percentage of your students do you tell them you need to get here, you need to come to this live and in person?
The ones that are advanced, that for example have like 2 or 3 products running already. We're talking Amazon,
Yeah.
or even if they're a small importer already and they're selling, let's say, successfully for a couple of months, and they may be stuck with their existing supplier, or they're just tired of looking only online, and yeah, people in general who are interested to really push their business, get better prices, meet the suppliers directly. I recommend them to come to the fairs. But if you're just starting out maybe, and you have an existing supplier, everything's running smoothly, and you need to focus on your maybe Amazon listing or improve sales or boost the sales, then you probably should still stay at home and try to do it from back home online.
Yeah. Hey, Manuel, I want to talk about about working with the big brands, and what you did, and what you most valuable lessons from either Walmart, Amazon, Lowe's. What were some of the notable stories you remember when working with those companies?
The big companies try to squeeze out every cent of suppliers. It's not very easy working with the big retailers. First of all, it's a very long process, so you can expect at least a year with the very big companies before they even place an order. I mostly worked with German companies in my previous job before I started my own company. But before that, I was working in sales, and we were catering different markets. For example, U.S., South America, Western Europe, Northern Europe, and like some of those clients were the big ones, like Walmart, Carrefour, Target, Amazon, and it's just, first of all, it's very difficult to get in touch with them. Let's say my goal back then, not my goal, my
like agenda.
yeah, no, my can we cut out things later from the
I
interview?
just go unedited. That's,
Okay. Um, no, my job back then, my job descriptions were sales, cold calling, finding new clients in the new markets
right.
that the company wasn't working in yet. And, big companies, they have like daily phone calls or emails from suppliers who want to work with them. So they're very arrogant, first of all, and it's difficult to get in. That's for sure. So
Yeah.
you either meet them through an exhibition, or you get referenced by another client of yours, or things like that. But the most valuable thing I learned from working with retailers is to be disciplined, actually, and to follow up properly with suppliers, because they have so many regulations and so many requirements that suppliers need to meet, like certifications, test reports, inspections. You need to follow a line of processes that would be unimaginable for an Amazon seller. The Amazon seller just finds a product online, or he sees it in China. He places an order, and that's it.
Right.
All within a time span of maybe 30 to 40 days, and there's just a lot of preparations and talks and meetings and sample sending and negotiation with suppliers when you work with retailers.
So, Emmanuel, obviously you've been doing this for 17 years, and you kind of give back and teach people. Who were some of your mentors, and what were the big lessons they taught you along the way?
Along the way, I'm not sure I really have a mentor per se.
Were there people within the importing companies you worked for that was there anyone that kind of took you under their wing, or was it just trial by fire and you just learned by making mistakes?
Was more or less learning by doing from the beginning. I was lucky that each supervisor or each boss that I had took me under his wing, and I learned a lot from each one of them. I learned from one person. I learned a lot of sales. Then in the other company I worked for, I learned a lot about manufacturing processes itself. Like metal stamping, designing, engineering, and so on. And then the last boss was not the best boss, but he was very dedicated to his products, and he also backed me up a lot when I made a mistake, or he taught me a lot of lessons to be dedicated to your product, to focus on your clients, and not ever trust suppliers. I guess that's key.
So being very thorough, it goes back into your checklist to just make sure that you're very thorough in following up.
Yeah, I guess so, yeah.
So what are the most common mistakes you see the people you help? What are they making when they start importing?
I think it's not having agreements in place when you place an order with a supplier, and you don't do your background check. I personally go to every factory.
Yeah. You have the luxury to be like in China, yeah.
Yeah, that's true. But I realize that not everyone can do that. But I would never place an order online to a supplier that don't even know, you know. Of
Yeah.
course, I will. If I can't go visit him, I probably have him send me company presentations. I want to see a list of clients that he works with. I probably send an inspector to their factory before I place an order. I mean, I'm not sending inspectors to every factory, or I don't go to every factory before I place an order. Just before I really place an order, I need to be absolutely sure through thorough background checks, having either visited or sending an inspector there, or I'm absolutely sure because they got a lot of references from other clients, something like that. So when you're ordering online from overseas, biggest mistakes I think are not doing thorough background check, and a lot of people just buy through Alibaba, and they think because a supplier has 3-year gold membership, it's safe to buy with them. It's not, you know. You can simply buy this membership with Alibaba. So
Right.
do your background checks on suppliers and be thorough.
What agreements should people have in place?
I usually have a buying agreement. It's like a Word file, a couple of pages. I don't do it with every supplier that he has to sign it. It's got a couple of terms in there, like what happens if there's late shipment or if there is any damage to the product during the transport.
Right.
So
You're protected.
I have to. Yeah. I'm sort of protected, but nothing happened so far. But
Knock on wood.
I'm sort of protected. Yeah. But I don't do that with every factory. For example, if I only have a small order of 2, 3, 4, 500 pieces, and the total order amount is even below $2,000, I probably just make sure that everything is very clear in the email. That I give him bullet points. What happened if there is late shipment? I tell him probably that there will be an inspection that I pay for, but if there is any mistake during the order, he has to pay for it, and so on. So, yeah, just list it in the email when you send the supplier the order.
Yeah. And, Manuel, I was reading one of your posts, and what's interesting, what you do is you make improvements to current products that the suppliers have, whether it's design or function. And a question that comes to mind is, so how do you keep them from rolling out and copying the improvements? Because, oh yeah, Manuel, this is great. Let's just roll this out to other customers. Let's sell it. So how do you handle copies or patents or things like that? How should people navigate that?
It's difficult. Obviously, or hopefully, the supplier will never use your packaging, for example.
Yeah.
For my brand, Mandarin Gear, I have my own packaging, and I trust that the supplier will not use my packaging. That is one point. Mostly they can't anyway because they don't have the file to edit it. That's on my side. In terms of design, it's the supplier's design. Like you said, I'll just take their design and change maybe the outlook. For example, I have this tablet speaker here. When I first saw it, it was shiny plastic. Sound was like really bad. It was like 2 watt, something like that, and the battery was only lasting for 2 hours. I mean, it was cheap. So I took the product. I changed the finishing into the rubber finishing that it is now. I increased the lifetime of the battery, and I had my own packaging, obviously, and I increased the power of the speaker. So I had a certain quantity that I need to meet to actually make those changes, but it's not so much higher than the original MOQ from the supplier. So I trust that if they want to sell it under the same conditions to other customers, I guess they also need higher quantities, and that's not really how you protect. I do have non-disclosure agreements in place with my suppliers, at least with those products. And if it happens, it happens. I mean, I can't be, I shouldn't be too grumpy or too upset about it. If it happens, it happens, and just means that I'm successful and they want to copy me.
Right.
But
How hard is it to change those things? Like, is it just a matter of telling them, I want the battery life to be 7 hours, or do you have to actually give them some actual research of what they need to do?
well, if it's very obvious that it needs to be improved, and they're
Yeah.
probably maybe selling it only in the domestic market, but they never sold online. Actually, they only sold, for example, within China.
Yeah.
A lot of suppliers actually welcome customer suggestions,
Okay.
like how to improve the product so that they can sell it to other customers,
Yeah.
as long as they don't sell
Yeah.
it.
So they know what to do. If you say, I want the battery life to be 7 hours, I want the volume to be
They
higher, they can just do that with you telling them.
they do that. They
Yeah.
know that, and if they don't, move on. Find a new supplier, because
Hmm.
then it means it's either a pure trading company, they don't have any engineers, or they don't have the means to improve the product, or
Yeah.
they're not willing. And if they're not even willing in the first few stages of discussing in order to improve the product,
Yeah.
um, how is the relationship going to be when you work with them,
Yeah.
actually? And so move on, find a new supplier.
Yeah. Man, you know what? You said something really interesting, which I never thought about, which is if you're dealing with a factory, a
Hmm.
manufacturer, to send an inspector there. Because I think that makes sense actually for people even doing business in the US. You can't just hop on a plane all the time if you're, cross from one's in New York and the office is in California. What do you tell the inspector to look for, and what kind of person, if someone wants to find an inspector, what do you look up to have someone go to the facility?
Well, basically, I work a lot with Asia inspection.
Hmm.
Um, you can book everything online. They give It's a very clear process. I
Hmm.
think I go through it also on my blog, and you can just tell them, for example, if I know that the product has problems, maybe on the packaging because it's very thin, um, or the supplier has told me there is some issue, or maybe I read a bad review on Amazon about what is not good about the product,
Hmm.
then I probably tell the inspector, right. I will tell him right away that these points are the ones he has to focus on. But on the other hand, when they send an inspector, they actually always use someone who is specialized in that category. So, for example, if you have a production of T-shirts, the inspection company is not going to send one who's very experienced in electronics. They're going
Right.
to send one who's experienced in textiles.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then I don't know if you find this, is there the same type of service in the US, or is it just more like an Asian inspection?
Um, you mean from that particular company, or?
No, yeah, from that company, or like if someone's looking to do the same thing for US manufacturers.
I think Asia inspection does a lot within Asia, like Turkey,
Mm-hmm.
India, Vietnam, Cambodia,
Mm-hmm.
China, and so on. Um, I don't know any company in the US, to be
Yeah.
honest. I'm pretty sure there
Well,
are
you're the
some.
import dojo, so you don't have to. But so you mentioned some common mistakes, background check agreements, getting that inspected. What other mistakes do you see people making?
Um, Payments. For example, they don't agree on payment terms. Like, just they accept suppliers' payment terms just blindly. Like, for example, 100% upfront, or they let them talk into Western Union payments, or they don't check, for example, bank account details. Let's say, if I receive an invoice from a supplier and the bank information doesn't make sense at all with any information that relating to the company. For example, if the company's name is Ningbo Xingfeng, and then on the banking information it says Cayman Islands, Greg something, then obviously people don't check, they just blindly transfer money
Yeah.
across the globe. So that's a big mistake a lot of people do.
Have you seen that happen where someone basically is that like a fraudulent, they just get
Oh, I read a
taken?
lot. Yeah, I read a lot about that on the Facebook groups.
Yeah.
Personally, I don't know anyone that it has happened to, but I think I read it like once or twice a month at least on the Facebook groups, and surprises me. Yeah, I mean, you don't do that when you even in the US, you don't transfer money to someone without checking references, I
Right.
guess.
What's
So,
typical as far as terms? Like if, because someone, manufacturing facility could say one thing and, the person in the back of their mind could be wondering, is this normal? Is it not normal? What's typical as far as that goes?
uh, typical within the retail industry is LC payments, letter of credits, or TT transfer, like 30% down payment,
Mm-hmm.
70% after shipment or upon shipment,
Yeah.
or even before shipment.
Yeah.
What is also widely used is the documents against payment. So basically, the supplier has to front all the money for the raw material and production, and then you pay him upon shipment or upon presentation of documents. But it's not going to happen online or with suppliers that you find on Alibaba. This usually only happens when you work with a supplier for a long time and say you've done business with him in the amount of 50 to 100,000 US dollars, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
So, Manuel,
typical,
go ahead. What's typical?
yeah, typical payments online is, I guess, PayPal. Everyone's trying to use PayPal, but it's not typical in the retail industry at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, what's the biggest nightmare you've experienced?
The biggest nightmare I've experienced. A supplier once sent out a shipment without me having released it, and he sent it to the harbor, and he was telling us, me and the buyer, that yeah, it's about to be shipped, and we should make the payment and release the documents also. And I didn't agree with it because the production had some issues, and the buyer tried to convince me that goods have to be sent back to the factory and have to be reworked. So and the supplier wouldn't agree to do that. And the goods were at the harbor, and they were charging us day by day
Oh, wow.
for port fees. And I think after 2 weeks, the supplier wouldn't budge, and the buyer eventually agreed. So he had to pay the fees and
Oh, man.
also accept faulty products. And needless to say, he never worked with me again. But I didn't either with the supplier. So
Yeah. You were stuck in the middle there.
yeah, sometimes it's even though you follow all your processes and you make sure everything goes right, sometimes things go wrong. You can't do anything, and you
Right.
just try to do the best you can to have a positive outcome for the buyer, even if it's not. Sometimes you end up losing.
Yeah. Manuel, what are the most common questions that you get from e-commerce sellers that are already selling?
Um, how to find the perfect product,
The
and
goal, that's the holy grail, right?
that's the most asked question I get.
Yeah.
And another question I get is, how do you vet suppliers? For example, I have a video on my blog about Alibaba,
Mm-hmm.
where I give a lot of examples how you can verify a supplier.
Yeah.
So I point people to that video, and in general read my book.
Yeah.
I mean,
I watched that video. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
I have sometimes I feel that they don't take their time to build a business.
Yeah.
They hear on a podcast or on a Facebook group, oh, I made $30,000 this month, and they want to duplicate that
Overnight.
person's success
Yeah.
overnight, and they're not willing to invest the time
Yeah.
to read books, to go onto groups, to
Yeah.
learn. So I wrote a 70 pages book that's out there for free, and it covers everything. So
Right.
mostly I just tell people please read the book or
Right.
do more research.
Yeah.
Yeah,
People want the shortcut.
they want a shortcut,
Yeah.
and there's no get rich quick scheme in this industry. So
Right.
you got to learn.
So on that sense, Manuel, so what resources do you recommend? Obviously, the Import Bible. You have that free. I mean, there's other blog posts that you put out there. What other resources out there should people be looking at to get the information to start to build their business?
There's a couple of other blogs from other people. For example, Ryan's FBA journey. Then of course there's the amazing seller. He covers a lot on the FBA process, and he's got some good resources. I think over 100 episodes right now. Then, for example, Global Sources has an educational blog that's called ChinaSmartSourcing.com or SmartChinaSourcing.com. Anyway, it's on Global Sources. It's an entire page full of tutorials, videos, texts, PDFs.
You're on their website also.
Yes, I've recently started blogging for them also, or they take my posts and then reblog.
Yeah.
What else? If you Google how to import from China, for example,
then your books will come up. That's all that comes up.
Yeah, page 2, I think. But there's also online courses. I mean, obviously I have a course, but there's other people who have equally good material.
What advice do you give to people about the perfect product? You said that is the most common question people ask.
There's no perfect product, I think. You just pick a product and you go for it. Of course, you should analyze numbers and stuff.
I mean, what are people expecting when you say that? I mean, when they ask that, are they beginners? Are they people who have been doing it for a while? Who's asking that?
I guess people who are stuck maybe with analysis paralysis, and people who just started maybe and they don't want to do the work. They just, I mean, it's okay to ask for help, but everyone has to decide for his own product.
Yeah.
That's why also, I mean, for example, I offer a sourcing service, but I only help on finding suppliers. Everyone needs to find his own product because I don't want to be held responsible if it tanks, If I source it for him, he purchases it, and then it doesn't work out. I mean,
so basically they say, I want to do this iPhone charger, and you will source it for them?
Yeah, I do that. I mean, first of all, I tell him, don't do that product. I do give advice on which products are good and which are not.
Yeah.
Because,
so which are horrible that people should not do?
Too much competition. For example, if you take smartphone accessory like a travel charger or iPhone charger, first of all, you need to make sure that the iPhone charger has certification. Otherwise, when you sell it, and Apple products actually tell you when you, for example, you want to charge iPhone with a very cheap charger, iPhone I think pops up and says, this is not an original, I don't remember the exact pop-up, but it says this software may not be compatible. So that's because the supplier doesn't have certification and they're not allowed to sell Apple products.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing I would tell them. I would probably give advice and say, okay, look, there is a lot of competition, or you need certain certification.
So what are some other products you steer people away from?
If they're starting out, maybe anything related to drugs, like medical products or supplementary products, dietary products, baby products, like baby accessory, like I don't know, baby bottles, something like that. Or
why do you tell them to steer away from that?
It's highly regulated in the US. The product is not allowed to contain any chemicals that could cause skin irritation on a baby.
Right.
It needs to have FDA certification. So these are very highly sensitive products.
Yeah.
I'd ask them to stay away. Very easy products could be household items, sometimes textiles, decorative items like maybe seasonal products for Christmas, just some decorative items. Those are simple, easy products for gardening or lawn and gardening products. Some tools could be easy products, yeah. Health and medicine are difficult, and they're also ungated.
Because of regulatory, is that why you tell people to steer away from them?
Yeah, and I want them to learn the process first and not dive into the most difficult categories right away. Yeah.
So what trends, since you do, a little bit of everything, the sourcing too, what trends should people be looking into as far as categories go for, obviously there's no perfect product, but maybe there's like you're seeing a upward trend of a particular category that people should look into.
I mean, electronics are coming more and more, and you don't see trends within the household industry. You see trends in consumer electronics. Or, I mean, what I suggest is go look onto Kickstarter and look at most trending products, and then you'll see which categories are most trending, and it's usually electronics.
Right.
So look into electronics. I know that a lot of people say stay away from electronics, but if you follow regulations, if you have certifications from suppliers, go for it, because the margins are one of the best out there. I sell electronics and I don't have a problem.
Right.
I mean,
talk about that for a second, Manuel. So Mandarin Gear, what was your first product?
I didn't really create any product. Like I said, I took existing items and then I improved them, put them into packaging and sell them to retailers.
Right.
But my first product that I sold was a Bluetooth speaker. Yeah, a Bluetooth speaker.
And what made you decide to do that? Tell me the thought process.
Well, I was handling this product category in my last job before I started my own company, and I saw this item at a supplier when I was still working for them, and I kept having the thought of starting my own company, and I took this item and introduced it to a buyer, and I said, "Would you be interested in this item?" And he said, "Yeah, sure." He'd actually wanted to purchase it. And then I think within a couple of weeks, I quit my job and started my own company. And that buyer was actually my first client. It was a retailer. I didn't sell it on Amazon. I sold it in the retail. And I guess that product, that Bluetooth speaker, helped me to start my own company also.
So I don't know if you could talk about it or not, but what kind of order does a retailer make for something like that off the bat?
That particular item was 2,000 pieces. 2,000 pieces, yeah. I think I made a profit of $2.50 each. So there was 5,000 US.
That's a good start.
That's a good start. It was not my biggest profit, but it was a good start, yeah.
So what do you do from there? Retail, obviously, I find that most people are not doing that. They're going direct to consumer. So what are some things people should know about going to retail that you did? And, with that, how did you start to branch off from, besides that retailer, to other retailers?
Well, I collected a lot of contacts in the last 10 years in Asia. And, I kind of come from the retail industry because when I was back in Austria, I was working in retail. So I kind of knew who the players were. Yeah. And I think when I really started my own company, I just systematically went through the list of contacts that I have, and then I just blindly fired out emails, to everyone that I knew. And obviously, I prepared my own PDF catalog. I had nice photos. I had put promotional texts for my emails. So it was not day one, I'm starting, and now I'm emailing customers. I was preparing a lot in terms of material. And, once you send the email, you call them. A couple of days later, you call, even if it's a cold call and you don't really know them. You just need to follow up and be persuasive with them.
Yeah. I mean, is there a particular, let's say someone's dealing in the U.S., is there a particular job title that people should, because like you said, the companies are so big, who do you even reach out to? Is there a particular, it's the manager of product development, or is there a common job title people should be looking at?
Well, in Europe, most of them are called, it's different sometimes, most of them are called either buyer or head buyer or head of purchasing or
Simple as
product
that.
manager,
Yeah.
product manager, electronical division, or purchasing manager. But well, you may wanna approach always the head of a division, like even if it's a buying director. If you have his contact, email him and then call him.
Yeah. So, Manuel, what was your next product? So you had the Bluetooth speaker. What was next?
I built a whole assortment around the Bluetooth speaker, smartphone accessory, tablet speakers. What else did I have? Headphones, earbuds. Anything related to Bluetooth, really. Anything with music, because I'm an avid music. I love music. I need it when I work. So anything relating to music, really. All in all, it's about 25 products right now in my assortment.
Yeah. What's the most popular?
The most popular is a headset I created. I more or less created this one because it's quite unique. I can't say much about it because I'm also launching it on Amazon now under my brand. And it's a headphone. It's good quality. It's very competitive price. Sound is good. Yeah, one of the most popular. I sold it already to a retailer in Europe. It's just right now launching online.
Yeah. For that, what's been the one that surprised you that you thought this is the product that's going to take off, and then it didn't do as well as you thought?
Was also a speaker, but it was an existing design in the market, and it was going really well. It was more looked like a block, but it was twisted. It looked like a candy speaker.
Okay.
And I got onto that as well. I changed a bit the color and the packaging, but when I got into the market with my client, it was already saturated. And so I more or less had to sell it below cost. Yeah.
What makes you, I find too, a lot of people are very private about this stuff. They do not want to tell people their name of their company. They don't want to tell people what they sell. What makes you so open?
Well, for one, the products that I have on my page, Endangering gear, they're all available within the retail market. So anyone can buy them. But if I have someone coming and say, "Oh, okay, I want to sell it on Amazon," and I already sell that one to a retailer in Europe, I don't do that, because then I destroy my client's price, because anyone can buy it on Amazon now.
Right.
Other than that, I'm not very open to what I'm selling on Amazon. Actually, I'm not telling anyone.
You aren't.
I do have. I do have. I can tell you what my first product on Amazon was, but that's about it. I'm still selling it, but other than that, I'm not so open on my products on Amazon. But the ones I sell to retail, anyone can see.
Yeah. So you can talk about what the first one you sold on Amazon, which is what, the headphones?
No. The first product I sold on Amazon was a stainless steel luggage tag.
Really?
I ordered.
That's random.
I ordered 500 sets, and well, the story goes like this. So I was receiving mail from Emirates, and I got my freaking flyer card, and I was like, "Oh, that looks nice, you know." And they got a luggage tag as well, so you get three cards.
Yes.
One is for the wallet, two is for the luggage with a
The
stainless steel.
loop. Yep. Yep.
Yeah. So, and I said that looks nice, you know. So what about people that do not have frequent flyer miles? You know, maybe they want to have a nice tag as well. And that's how I came up with the luggage tag, the stainless steel luggage tag. And I think within a few days I found a supplier. I ordered 500 pieces, and I sold them out really quickly on Amazon.
So why would you talk about that and not the others? And this is pretty common.
Because right now, I think I have like 15 competitors. So be my guest, you know. I mean,
Gotcha.
I have a lot of reviews already, and I'm selling mine. And you know, even if it does sell, I'm not saying I'm gonna sell it forever. So
Right.
I'm always looking for new products, and I'm always trying to expand my category into other products.
Yeah.
So
I'm
yeah.
always just curious about this secretive nature that I've, over the past 6 months really experienced with people. And
Hmm.
so I'm just always wondering the reason why. And so when you sell on Amazon, are you selling all over the world, or do you choose certain countries?
No, just .com. .com.
So
It's easiest for me also because I'm based in Asia.
yeah.
I'd be open to selling to, I think, UK and Germany are number 2 and 3 in terms of sales and customers. I'd be interested to sell there in at a later stage, but right now only .com.
Any other platforms you're considering or that you sell on besides Amazon?
There are actually a couple in Asia, um, from Rocket Internet. It's a big German company, and it's called Lazada here. They're
Mm-hmm.
all over Asia, Indonesia, Thailand,
Mm-hmm.
Vietnam, Singapore. So I've been thinking of listing there. I'm already in the process of talking to them, but there's a lot of contracts, and it's not as easy as fulfillment by Amazon. That's why I love Amazon, because it's so simple for sellers to list their. I mean,
Mm,
it's not simple. You have to follow rules and procedures and so on, but it's the most successful business out there, fulfillment business. The ones in Asia are not so easy, to be honest, but there's a big market out here too. So maybe Asia next
yeah.
stop.
Yeah, I'll have to send you. I just talked to someone who talked about all the platforms. They're in South Africa, and they were
Yeah.
talking about places in Russia and that are, talking some of the trends in the marketplaces. I think you'd like that. And they were talking about the rocket internet also.
Mm.
Um, and so, what do people like most? What do you find the best feedback? Either a certain story from the Import Bible or a certain lesson that seems to resonate most for people?
I think people really like my Alibaba video,
Hmm.
the screencast that I made, but also that I outline step by step. When you read my book, it's really, where do I start and where does the order end? Obviously, then it goes to Amazon, and I don't cover that in the book, but every import from China step is in the book. Maybe there's more details in each step, but
Yeah.
I cover really pretty much the basics that get everyone started. And just recently, I got an email that from a work-at-home mom, and she said she's been thinking about importing a long time already, and the book finally gave her the push to do it, because
Mm-hmm.
it sounds so easy. Obviously, it's a difficult process, but it can be done. And the fact that it's covers really the basics, I think that's what most people like about it.
Yeah. So before talking to you, Manuel, I reached out to some e-commerce, people who run e-commerce businesses. I said, "What questions do you have for the Manuel, who's an expert in import?"
Oh,
And some of the questions were about Chinese sellers. Those are the most common questions I got. What are Chinese sellers doing well? And well, I'll start with that. What are
Okay.
Chinese sellers doing well?
Nothing in particular, to be honest. The only thing they're really good at is prices. You know, they have better prices because they're
Mm-hmm.
directly at the source. But I don't think they do anything particularly good. I had a blog post about, I think 6 weeks ago. It's called "Don't Worry About
I read that.
Amazon
Yeah.
Sellers for now." Yeah, and I think it pretty much outlines why people don't have to worry yet,
Yeah.
because Chinese are completely different in their thinking and their culture, you know, when it comes to sales, and
Mm-hmm.
customer service is not important for them. You know,
Yeah.
for for us, what is really common sense,
Yeah.
sometimes they don't even think about that. I mean,
Right.
not to be mean or rude or anything, it's just not within their culture
Right.
to care about customer service. And that's one thing that they won't be good at in the near future either.
Yeah.
So the only thing I think they're good at is the logistics part and the prices. So
Right.
maybe they have a bit more profit, but in the
Yeah.
end, they may have more complaints from customers, you know?
Yeah. So yeah. So the question was that, and they said, well, how do you combat it if they're selling on Amazon? To me, and I said, as you know, Manuel, I do a lot of research. So I said, I know exactly how he's going to answer this question. There's no point in me asking it because he has a blog post on it, exactly what you just said. I said, I'll ask it anyways, and I'll push back a little bit because he's going to say that's not their mentality. They want, because in your blog post, you say they want the money up front. They don't want to have to create the products and then sell it, right?
Yeah.
And then I go, well, that's exactly what he's going to say, and you did. And so we had this back and forth. And then I said, well, they go, well, what about, but they can double their money. They can sell at a higher margin, right? So,
Yes, that is true.
yeah,
Well, maybe not double, but maybe 20% more. Well, I think that suppliers make more than 15 to 25, 30% maybe these days.
right,
I mean, obviously with their own developed products, and if it's a really trendy design, then maybe, but common trading items are even lower, maybe 5 or 6%. So if they're starting to sell a garlic press on Amazon, and maybe they're the factory directly,
right,
okay, they make maybe 5 or 6% more than the
right,
Amazon seller in the US. So that's not really an advantage.
yeah,
But yeah, I don't think they have really a big advantage. And also, I mean, Amazon has been in the ground in China for the last 2 years,
right,
teaching people. Amazon is available in Chinese. Um, so yeah, they've been there, but it's still just in the beginning. It's like China, for example, is slowly moving into higher efficiency manufacturing,
mm-hmm,
like Taiwan did 25 years ago. You
yeah,
know, Taiwan is, for example, a high-end manufacturing country,
yeah,
um, and China is still very, very far away from that. I mean, you've got 1.3 people you need to teach,
right,
1.3 billion, yeah, or even more. So it's a long process. It takes time.
yeah.
And most Amazon sellers are in the business for maybe longer than 2 years already, so they have a long head start.
I mean, so if let's say, China manufacturer goes head to head with you, they start
Mhm.
putting stuff on Amazon. Is there anything you can do to combat that, or how would a seller better compete?
I have a mailing list of 5,000 people, so deal with that, supplier. That's one of the things that you can really boost your sales in the beginning, or to launch a product with a mailing list
Mm-hmm.
or Facebook groups. I mean, there's no Facebook in China. There's no Yahoo. There's no Gmail. There is no
Yeah.
CNN. Whatever. A lot of sites blocked in there. So we in the West have a lot of we have more advantages. We can use tools that Chinese people cannot use.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Lots more. I mean, websites. I don't think Chinese people invest money in building a website around their brand. I mean, when you look at a Chinese factory's website, it's horrible English, and The photos are really bad quality, and we know we know exactly what to do to attract customers. We Westerners, so I don't think it's a big issue
Yeah.
at all.
Many of your students probably sell on various platforms. What do you recommend them when they ask you, okay, I want to increase sales, I want to boost sales? What do you tell them?
Yeah, like I said, having a mailing list helps a lot. Obviously, it takes a long time to build a mailing list. Um, well, go through the usual procedures, like send it to friends and family, use the review groups, use Facebook groups, even use the paid Amazon seller, the the professional Amazon reviewers. There's a couple of people on there that you can approach. Obviously, you need to give it nearly for free. But yeah, get social proof first, and then go heavy on PPC.
Yeah.
Wait for maybe 15 to 20 to 25 reviews, and then switch on PPC and go heavy on the budget. Don't be shy to spend $50 or obviously more a day on PPC.
Yeah.
And all the while, if you haven't done it yet, start building Facebook pages, or a fan page, or start building a mailing list. Try to get your customers' emails so you can retarget them for your next product.
Mm-hmm. What are some of the best practices for importing that we didn't talk about so far, Manuel?
Did you read my book? No, just kidding. Best practices importing. I'd say just follow the 6-step import process that I lined out in the book, and memorize the steps. And you're good. I think. I do cover a lot more, for example, in the online course that I have. I don't give everything away for free.
So tell me about that, actually, because you have several services you offer. What do people come to you for? Because obviously you have the Mandarin gear, right? So you sell your own brand. What else? What other services do you offer that people should look you up for?
I have ImportDojo. ImportDojo is a blog where I post every other week.
Yep.
On ImportDojo, I have an online course as well that focuses on importing from China. I do cover, I think 1/3 of the course is about Amazon, but only the basics, to be honest. I'm working on an advanced module right now that I'm releasing in November. But 2/3 of the course is about importing from China, because I think it's the most crucial part of the entire business.
Yeah.
Because Amazon, it's not easy, but it's a clear process on Amazon,
Right.
And if you follow it, you can be successful. But importing from China can be so many different scenarios, and you need to know how to tackle each scenario, and that is what I cover in the course.
Yeah.
I also sell my books on Amazon, all 4 books that I wrote. Then I also have my courses on Udemy, where on Udemy you only have the course, but on ImportDojo I give one-on-one coaching.
Yeah.
So I hold people's hand along the journey. I tell them which categories are good. They can email me with problems that they have with the suppliers. I have Google Hangouts with them.
Yeah.
So it's coaching. Yeah.
So what about, let's say I want to skip everything. I want you one-on-one. I want you to help with sourcing. Do they get your course, or is that a separate service that they can get you for?
It's a separate service.
Yeah.
I offer, excuse me, I offer a flat service package.
Yeah.
A flat rate package for sourcing. So say you're looking for, I don't know, t-shirt, tapestry, whatever in China, and you have a link, you have a certain idea of your quantity that you're looking for. I help locating a factory. If I don't know anyone, I go look, but I don't use the regular channels like Alibaba or Global Sources. I use my contacts mostly.
Yeah. What other, besides Alibaba, people probably ask you this, what else, what's the next best source that people should look at online?
I'd say global sources.
Mm-hmm.
Global sources is very professional. I also did a screencast recently about them. I'm not sure if you saw.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
then there's Taobao, which is the Chinese version of Alibaba, but you
Mm-hmm.
can work with Google Translate.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have epath.com, then you have madeinchina.com,
Mm-hmm.
ebuy.com, and a couple others. But the more you look out for the other e-commerce site, the thinner the field gets in terms of suppliers on the sites. I mean, for example, there's AliExpress for drop shipping, so that works well if you're looking for small quantities and low, still okay prices. But the main two sites, Alibaba, Global Sources.
Yeah. What's been the biggest challenges in the business today?
My biggest challenge has been today.
Yeah. Yeah. Recently.
Um, Coping with capacity. Right now, I'm running full steam. For example, after this interview, I have the Google Hangout. Then I probably have 2-3 hours of sourcing. Then I have emails that I have to take care of. Then lots of things.
Mm-hmm.
So right now, I'm running at full capacity. So I need to expand in terms of sourcing. I need to hire people to help me on the consulting. And also, I want to scale my business on Amazon. I want to grow that. So right now I need to hire more people, more employees, more staff.
So, what are you gonna do to do that?
Uh, I've been looking already at a couple people. I'm talking to one of my best friends in the coming weeks.
Yeah.
He's currently traveling, but I already explained him what I had in
What you
mind.
need.
He also kind of runs his own business, so I want to bring him on as a partner and
Yeah.
then double the size of staff.
Yeah.
And
I ask because this is stuff people are going through who are watching this, right? They're at capacity. What do they do to grow, right? And so you kind of mapped out some of those next steps that you need to do.
one of my biggest issues in the beginning was I took too much money out of my business. I kind of still live the same lifestyle I had when I had a monthly paycheck,
Mm,
going on trips, eating out, and so on. So I took money out of my business, and that stalled my growth. Um, I was working harder and harder and harder, but I was taking out too much money. So that's an advice I would give to people who are starting out. Leave the money inside. Maybe start this as a part-time job and leave the money you make on the side, leave that in the business and
yeah.
reinvest it. That's
Especially
a
when you're
mistake.
dealing with physical goods like you are, you have to actually pay for
Yeah,
the goods.
exactly. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, someone buys your course, it's a little bit different story than you're paying for 1,000 Bluetooth headsets. What do you find has been the toughest about running this type of business?
The toughest, I think that you have no one to tell you which direction to go to. I mean, previously I always had a supervisor or a boss
Right.
who hopefully pointed me into a right direction, or who gave me ideas for resources, or
Right.
even he had a boss who who led the company. But right now I'm my own boss. I'm responsible for my own success, and
Yeah.
I need to constantly look out for new directions where my business can go or what obstacles I might come across.
Yeah.
So I think that's difficult because you have no one to tell you what to do. Yeah.
Yeah. Manuel, so what software do you use to run the business that people should be looking at?
Personally, to find new products, I use the old-fashioned way, but I do use, for example, Jungle Scout to analyze
Mm-hmm.
the numbers.
Yep.
Obviously, I use Microsoft Office, everything that you can use, like PowerPoint, Excel, Word, and I also use Wave apps for my accounting.
I don't know what
Uh,
that
you
is.
know,
What is it? No.
it's a US company. It's called, I think, Wave-apps.com.
How do you
It's
spell that?
it's a software. Wave, like the
Oh,
wave.
Wave apps. Okay.
Yeah, Wave apps, and I use it for my invoicing, accounting, listing products within my system. But other than that, I don't use any software. I'm pretty old-fashioned. Yeah.
What's your method for research? Like, let's say you hear
Um,
something. I don't know, how do you generate new ideas, and then how do you actually? What's your method for researching those?
uh, I do mention it also a couple of times. I subscribe to a lot of trendy websites like uh, TechCrunch
Hmm.
or uh, what else?
You were
I
mentioning
mean,
Kickstarter is one of them.
Kickstarter,
Yeah,
Engadget, anything that has trendy stuff, or
yeah,
I even subscribe to supermarkets or
mm,
DIY stores,
right,
and then they send newsletter every week with the newest products. And there
right,
you go, you have a free list of products every other week from different kind of categories.
right.
I think that's where I get most my
That's
inspiration,
smart. Yeah.
and also exhibitions help. So I mean, there's also local exhibitions you can go to. Um, what else? Travel a lot as much as you can. You might see a product that's really popular in the state next to you, that could be popular in your state as well. So
Right.
import it, stuff like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said,
So you find
old-fashioned way.
something. Let's say you get a Engadget email and you find something. Then what's your thought process? What's your method to actually doing the research to see if yes, I want to pursue this further?
Okay, well, I probably go look on similar websites first. For example, if Engadget send me a review of a really cool gadget or really cool tool that just came out, and I probably look on other competitors. For example, they say Sony has just brought out the newest, I don't know, digital camera. I go on to maybe Panasonic or Philips or all the other big brands to see if they also carry it.
Yeah.
If the competition is small, I try to find the source. If I can't find the source, I probably have to do more research, back to square one. And once I find the source, I try to get prices and maybe even try to improve the product. Obviously, I don't improve a Sony digital camera, but
Right.
um, get the general idea, maybe add some of your ideas, brainstorm a little bit, sit down for a couple of minutes and think about, could anyone actually use this product? Would people buy this product?
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Yeah.
What's your opinion on, like you mentioned with Kickstarter, there's a lot of technology products. What do you
Mm.
recommend for as far as crowdfunding goes? Do you think it's good? It's not good? If your students say, Manuel, I want to go, and why don't I just have the crowd pay for it ahead of time and then I'll do it? What's your opinion on crowdsourcing sites?
I think it's pretty cool. A friend of mine just completed a project for glasses that you can use indoors
Mm-hmm.
when you sit a lot of the when you sit in front of the computer a lot.
Mm.
Sorry, or when you read a lot on tablets or your smartphone.
Yeah.
And he did nearly 300,000 euro,
Wow.
and super successful. And actually, I'm also working on a Kickstarter right now
Mm.
with this very same friend.
Mm.
It's completely out of the industry that I actually work in,
Mm-hmm.
because I saw his success. I was like really motivated to do it myself. But maybe it's a bit easier for me than for your listeners, because I'm directly at the source. I can find factories easy. I can go
Yeah.
to exhibitions. So yeah, use Kickstarter by all means, but make sure that you can find a factory who can actually produce the product.
Yeah.
And to check if the functionality can be done in the manufacturing
Yeah.
process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, so Manuel, since it's the Skubana e-commerce mastery series, my question, what would you say your lowest moment has been? And then on the flip side, what's been the proudest moment?
Um, Good question. The lowest moment. it's probably happened within time span of 2 or 3 days to the best moment. I think I got the lowest moment was definitely earlier this year. I had a cancellation of an order from a big retailer, and I had to cover a lot of costs with the factory. That cost me quite a couple of thousands, and it was like I was devastated. My whole savings were gone from the previous
Wow.
6 to 8 months that I was working on. And then, like a week later, I received the biggest order yet from another retailer in Switzerland that pretty much cleared off everything again and yeah, kept me going. So both within a time span of a couple, I think it was within 2 weeks.
Wow.
Um,
Was it the
yeah, I
same
didn't know.
product?
No, it was
They
a
were
different
different.
product. But the first retailer, he just canceled, and it's a big retailer. Couldn't do anything. So I was stuck with a lot of debt also in regards to the supplier.
Yeah.
And then just a couple of days later, I received a really big order with a very nice profit.
That's a big fear, I think, for people going to retail is if they return it or cancel it.
Definitely, yeah. That's why you need to have agreements in place. I mean, I did have an agreement in place with that customer,
Right.
but they also have a contract that I needed to sign, and there's a lot of clauses in there
Right. It's like
that are
basically
obviously
what we signed for you is null and void and this overrides that or something.
more, more or less like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there was no way I could get my money back. So
So
yeah,
what do you do?
that's
Just what do you do? You just hustle and sell to another retailer or what do you do in that case?
no, that order that I got was also long time preparation. I was working on that order for a long time,
Yeah.
and I was lucky in that case. But I guess what you could do is, if you're already in the production process and the customer cancels the order,
Mm.
try to sell it to
Yeah.
another client. Hustle, hustle,
Yeah.
hustle, hustle.
So how did you
So,
get that big order, the proudest moment?
actually, it was through one of my contacts, and I've been working on that since I started my own company. So it took nearly 11 months to get the order.
Mm.
I was sending a lot of samples. I spent hours working on their Excel files that
Yeah.
they wanted me to fill out. I had lots of phone calls. I had video conferences. I even traveled to Switzerland to meet them. So it was a lot of money and time
Mm.
and work involved,
Yeah.
definitely.
So what'd you do to celebrate?
Uh, I don't know. I don't really celebrate orders that much.
No?
I guess just high five to myself.
Yeah.
No, I do. I do enjoy the occasional dinner outside with my wife.
Yeah.
I exercise a lot, so I compensate with sports a lot, fitness, I guess.
Mm-hmm. So, this has been hugely valuable. I really appreciate your time with this. And, I've read through your blog posts and your YouTube videos, so I suggest people check those out because there's a wealth of information there. And I have one last question before I ask it. Where should we send people? Obviously, ImportDojo.com. Any other places that we should point people towards?
ImportDojo.com. I think you've got
Mm-hmm.
everything you need
Yeah.
over there.
Yeah.
If you're only interested in reading my books, I'd be happy to give you the links of my Amazon books also.
I think they can sign up for the newsletter and get the book, one of the books, right?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
The Import Guide is free,
Yeah.
and I mean, I do sell it on Amazon, but you can get it for free on my site.
Right.
Please don't tell anyone. No,
Yeah.
but um, ImportDojo.com. If people want to learn in general about sourcing or exhibitions in China, go to
Yeah.
globalsources.com, where you will find a lot of tutorials
Yeah.
and free content.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my last question, Manuel, is what are some of your best business and product ideas that people should steal because you are not going to use them? Because you're just at capacity.
Okay. Go into, I think I've said it before, go into what's it called?
You talking about website or
No. I'm talking about products. Virtual
Kickstarter?
reality. Sorry, virtual reality. Anything with virtual reality, I think it's a big deal, and I see a lot of suppliers now trying to develop, but they have no idea because there is no guideline or anywhere from the industry. So that would be an industry I think is really worth investing your time in. I'd love to, but I have no time. And other than that, not sure. I why would I want to give it away? No, but
virtual reality. All right.
virtual reality.
All right.
Yeah.
Check out ImportDojo.com. Manuel, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
No problem. Thanks a lot for having me. Thank you.
Thanks.